And when it comes to education, especially, no face-to-face instruction is being allowed at this time. So things had to go virtual. So that provided a lot of opportunities as well as challenges when it comes to various fields, including the field of nursing. We have Christine Bush, who's the nursing professor over at DMACC, joining us here this morning. Good morning, Christine. How are you today?
Good morning, Lou. Oh, I'm doing well, thank you.
Yes, a lot of changes. Boy, never, I bet you in a million years, did you think that education would be in this format and so strict the way it is right now?
Well, you know, we've known for a while that things are moving towards more of a virtual format, and even the NCLEX, the licensure examination, they're looking at adding a virtual component to that. But what we have had to do this spring, no, I don't think any of us had any inclination we'd be moving in that direction.
Yeah, this is just like pushing one button and pushing another button and then having to enact a plan that you had down the road. Now, what kind of challenges did you have when you first realized we have to go virtual and we have to do it now?
Well, probably having to just be very flexible with changes that we were being given. So I worked with 3 other faculty at DMACC, and I work with the students that just graduated. And so each level was kind of a different challenges for what we needed to do with the students. And we had to be really flexible because first we thought we'd be able to get the students into the hospital for a little bit of clinical, and then it was no clinical. So we were kind of planning ahead as to what we were going to do. We are very fortunate at DMACC in that we have Melody Beathers, who is very knowledgeable with simulation and virtual learning. She's a national speaker and been involved with all of that. So she was a great asset to us. But it was very challenging trying to, have to change every other day.
Well, I know, very challenging, but at the same time, I'm sure there was some benefits, some hidden benefits that came about because of this.
Yeah, one of the big benefits about virtual simulation and virtual clinical is that every student can have the same opportunity to work through a scenario of maybe somebody who comes in with COVID symptoms. That was one of the scenarios that they did. With technology today, you can have a room set up on the screen that looks like a real emergency room, and you have the avatars that are there, and you can even have avatars in there that the students can practice delegating to. So maybe they would be the nurse doing the intake, the assessment, but then they can give directions to the CNA. So that's one of the benefits I see for the nurses.
Wow, so they can go through the process, and even if, let's just say maybe the process that they decided to jump into wasn't exactly correct. This is all virtual. You can go back and you can actually do it so it comes out correctly.
Yeah, and a lot of the different scenarios that we had the students do, they would work through at one time, and if they didn't get a certain score, then they had to go back and do it again. So that kind of repeated and a chance to make a different decision, I think, was very beneficial to them.
So you really did have practice before you tried to initiate what the real treatment would be, which really is probably, to be honest with you, for nursing students, they're nervous going in right off the bat, knowing that, hey, we're going to try this, make sure it works, a little more comforting to them, too.
Yes, it was. And I've talked to a few of the students that did go through all of the different ones, and they did say there was a benefit. They missed the patient contact, though, actually being in and having those conversations and contact with actual patients.
Now let's talk about the support from DMACC during this whole process. They're going through this process, trying to get used to doing these visits and things like that. What's DMACC's role in doing this?
They have been very supportive. They sent out, emails and information right away with different platforms we could have to use, be it Skype or Blackboard Collaborate, Zoom. Microsoft Teams. So they had webinars that they also taped, so we could go in and watch those if we weren't really used to using any of those formats. They had computers available that were set up such that we were able to get a computer that we could actually access all of our files that are on the drive at the college, so that it was easy to get to those, so we could continue to work and plan.
Wow.
For classes.
Yeah, so the education process never really stopped. You know, it probably had just a tiny period of slowing down, but once you achieved that goal, then you were able to move forward. So the education did have a chance to continue.
Yes, yeah. And that's one thing I like about being in the role of a nursing faculty is that, I would still get some contact with patients, but always learning something new. I've always said that we even learn from our students.
Well, talk about the resiliency of your nursing students that are there, because they had to really shift on the fly, and which in reality, in real life, when they are at work down the road here, they're going to have to do this. So this is really another one of the benefits that we talked about.
Yes, they were very, very resilient. I think we all of the faculty at DMACC kept our students really informed. So communication was very important, far as getting them through this process. They stepped up, which is something that really is just helping prepare them for nursing.
Wow.
When you hear the stories about the nurses that are out there on the front line, they've had to be very flexible and step up and learn new things. So in a way, it's, I guess, been a blessing for the students in that they've gone through this, because now they have that confidence that they will be able to do that in the future, whatever they end up facing.
Well, I see a lot of people paying attention to the great work that nurses do, and maybe they're thinking to themselves, this is the career that is for me. How can they go about getting more information about DMACC, about getting a nursing education at DMACC? What's the first process?
Mm-hmm. Going to the DMACC website, and they can find the information there under programs that talks about the nursing program. What they need to do, there's contact information there also if they would prefer to talk with someone, and start working on getting the courses that they need, and getting into the nursing program. So they can get a lot of support.
Well, Christine, thank you so much for your information here this morning. It's so great to see DMACC continuing to make strides and create more nurses, because we always need more nurses. And Christine, if you see that Rob Denson character of yours, the guy who oversees things over there, tell him to wash his hands. I know where his hands have been, okay?
Okay, I will. I will do that.
Thank you so much.